But more centrally.
This, like here?
Or they can go down further too if you wanted to. Yeah.
Better.
Sometimes it can be quite daunting to be the one right by the owl. Oh, you're good. We haven't even started yet.
Use table, the infamous use table. 6:26.
Anybody? Oh, hi, Andy.
Good afternoon.
No.
Oh, I didn't check the,
Waiting.
no, no one in the attendees.
Okay, so let's. Pause this at least a little bit. So are we recording?
Yes,
Have we already started recording?
yes.
Yes. Hello. Let's call this meeting to order. At the moment, we have no visitors. Hi, Robin.
Hi, Susan.
And we always do an agenda review, anything to change, add, move around. I don't think I see anything.
The only thing I would say,
As we go, and we'll, if any, folks attend as we show up. Andy?
yeah, I've got a hard stop about
You
5.
can't hear you.
One.
Oh, that's my fault, that's my
Yeah, we're
fault.
turning up the volume. Hang on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Tell me when you're ready. Are you ready? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Can you hear us?
Just barely.
Barely. Okay, we'll work it out. I'll keep talking so that you can see if it's, am I loud enough now? Okay.
Yes, yes. Yes. Can you hear me?
Oh, good.
Okay. I have a hard stop at about 5:20. I just want to let you know.
Okay. Do you have any TDI stuff to report? I
Yeah,
think
would you like to do that? You want to add that on the agenda or want me to do it now or?
there's always a time for check-in, so it's I mean, I'd really like to have you here for the use table review as well. So,
Okay.
but why don't we just zip along and see
Okay.
how we go. So let's start off by, we have 2 sets of minutes, December and January. They were distributed. And last time we didn't approve December because we didn't have a quorum. And today we have 4 of us. Don't we?
No, you have 5.
We have 5?
Robin.
Robin, thank you. 5, yay.
Hey.
I never worried about a quorum. I don't want to worry about a quorum. I got enough to worry
Yeah.
about. All right, so, does anybody have any questions or comments about the minutes? Yes? Go ahead, go ahead.
Could you strike the last sentence in the January meeting minutes? I don't even know what it means and it's quoting me, so.
Oh,
Oh.
okay,
Oh, dear.
strike last sentence in the January minutes. Okay,
When you look at it, it talks about my update on the TDI, and which
Yeah.
is very accurate, except for the last statement is kind of confusing to me. I don't know what the last sentence means when you look at the
Okay.
minutes.
so taking out that last sentence, other than that, can we approve both sets of minutes?
I'll make a motion that we do with that amendment.
Cool. Second,
Second.
all in favor? All right, thank you. So the only other thing under admin items is we're not having a workshop this month. It's our time for a lull. Right? Someone else is working hard, but we're not working this month on a workshop. So, moving on to recode matters. Yeah, update with the consultant. I have not done up notes formally. Formal notes, but I took a lot of notes. And, I mean, I felt really good about that workshop. I'll say a few things, fill in as we go. I know, yeah, and obviously Sky was there and I was there, Pam, Joe, Rick was there, Pete, and Mary Henderson, came from the town, and Andy came for a while. And clearly it was, I loved the way Leslie was very disappointed as people left, Andy and Rick. And, but we went through, quite a lot of material and worked some things out. I know that one of the major things all the way along that has followed us is questions about both parking and frontage, street wall frontage. That came up in the developers workshop in a big way. And much to my surprise, Leslie offered a really interesting solution to that. And this, we're talking about the Topsham Fair Mall, and that's the only area we're really talking about. Looking at making, that a developer would have the option to make a front street a different street, you know, use a connector street as a front street. And so you would have a much less street wall frontage requirement. And she seems very clear on making some changes there, and we looked at the map. Anything else to add on that one? It just seemed to be a really
Yeah, I think
good
that
solution.
the only thing to add would be that, the connecting streets, and that can, I think, include interior travel lanes and parking lots too.
Yes, yes.
Which is really helpful for the larger parcels, like where Target is, or, the mall itself, where like Panera is and stuff. Like, sometimes it might be hard for those buildings to front on Topsham Fair Mall itself, and after, actually, I'll add this in if you don't mind, after that meeting with Leslie, I talked with Tom Lister about it, because I just wanted to check to make sure
Yeah.
that some of those discussions, none of it was gonna be any issues for him, and he really liked that idea, because there are places where it would actually be really hard to get a frontage on Topsham Fair Mall with the way that the lots have been carved up, so I think this is a really beneficial change.
Great. So that was a big one. We also had some talk about roofs. And one of the things that we agreed to do is, I think, is put back in a flat roof. Did we decide to do that? And then we had a little discussion about how flat roofs aren't really flat. And you know, the whole thing about roof options has changed over time, and so there's a little added flexibility there.
Yeah. Did you mention that Joe was at that workshop? Cause
Yes.
he was very
yes,
behind the roof changes, which I think is good. to know
Yes.
As our resident architect.
And Joe unfortunately couldn't be here today, but it was great that he could contribute to that conversation. Yeah, so roofs, frontage. More flexibility on entrances, having entrances on the side.
But maintaining transparency.
But maintaining transparency on the, what would otherwise be a front. If you have an entrance on the side, there has to be transparency on the front. So,
Chairman, I'm generally, comfortable with everything that was discussed and the decisions that were made and what's gonna be incorporated into the next draft. I will say one thing that struck me was Leslie's disappointment that, people weren't using the provisions of the code, and, saying, well, the flexibility's there and there's options here. But people aren't using them, but it's obvious to someone like me who's familiar with the code and I know this code. I said, that gave me a little bit of pause that if you have to know the code that well to interpret it, then it's overly complicated or needs some commentary to walk you through it. And that was just something that really struck me is, someone who uses other codes, more, very, technical codes, is that if they're that complicated, then that they just simply don't get used, and that didn't sit well with me, that's all. So it really becomes incumbent on the town staff, code enforcement, and town planning to really know it well, to be able to walk applicants through it when the time comes and point out that flexibility.
Rick, I think that's a great point. I can't say that I disagree with you at all, but I do know that some of the other people in the community are fearful of that, just as you explained that it's could be too complicated. They're not saying it is, or it might not end that way, but that is their fear, is that it will be interpretable many different ways by many different people, and because of its complexity. So we got to make sure that we somehow make sure that we relieve those concerns of the general public and the people who are eventually going to vote for this. So I think we need to be cognizant of that concern.
so I hear those comments, and that's really important. And at the same time, what it makes me wonder is how simple, easy to use, clear is our current code. Because one of the things I heard at the very beginning of the process is, we have a land use code, it's right on the website, it's available to anybody, but people come in, we used to come into the office all the time and say, what can people next door to me on either side do? What can I do? So it must not be very clear if people have to come in and talk to the professional planning staff to understand what they can and can't do.
I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing that everybody's loving the existing situation. I'm just saying they want to be sure we do it right this time.
Right, absolutely. And the thing that I don't know, I've heard people say that a few times. That comment came up in the developers workshop, a couple of people.
Mhm.
I remember Dave talked about it. And I think he's used to working more maybe in Brunswick than here, but the thing that he said alongside the concern about complexity is he hasn't really looked at it carefully. I don't know what to say, because if you're a professional developer, you clearly know how to read code. You're concerned about complexity, but if you haven't had a chance to really look at it, I don't know how to weigh that concern. I think it's a valid concern, but I just don't know how to weigh it right now. So
Well,
if it's coming from people who haven't looked carefully and thoroughly at the code. Yeah, Robin, go ahead, go for it.
Thank you, Susan. So I think you just said it. If he hasn't looked at the code, then he can't really form an opinion about if it's too complicated or not. I think we have to, of course, we're trying to clean, and the whole point is cleaning up the code, making it more user-friendly, making it visual, giving, flexible parameters. I don't know, it just seems like it's, take comments from where they come, but if a person hasn't really given it time, then we can't really, there's no direct thing we can respond to.
well, other than, I think David was up front. He just wasn't participating. It wasn't that he didn't want to. I don't think he was aware of the process. Not
Okay.
everybody is, as hard as we try to get it out there. And again, I will guarantee you, a week
they
before we go with this, there are gonna, people are gonna walk in and say, I've never heard of this.
That's
And
right.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
We gotta have a standard response for that.
And to have a standard response, say it again, Andy, to what?
Well, I think we gotta be unified in our response, of
Complexity.
how to deal with that person that comes in a
Yeah.
week before we're gonna ask the council to put it on the warrant, and they're gonna say, Adam Lee, and I'm just making up names, but I mean, hey, Adam, it's been going on, this is the 2019 comprehensive plan, and we're trying to implement, so it's not like we just started 3 weeks
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah.
But we've got to be able to have a standard answer to those people that we all feel comfortable with. It's like, we've tried, we've done the best we can. The time is now that we move forward. We can't keep stepping back forever, something like that. We've got to have some kind of a response.
Yeah,
To clarify my comment, I mean, I understand almost everybody who's given any feedback on it, it's a new thing. It takes time to understand it. It takes, effort to go through it. What gave me pause was when one of the primary authors said, oh, well, you need to know the code as well as I do. That was, okay, well, that means, want to put that on the radar as we go through the planning board workshops and adoptions and be like, okay, let's all get on the same page here internally on what the responses are to the complicatedness.
and what I would just, I'm not disputing you because words are important, but I didn't hear it come out of her mouth that way. I heard her say, and it's recorded, so we can find out
You can
exactly.
go check,
Yeah.
guys.
The thing that I thought she was saying was, I was hoping that people would be more creative in using the code. And of course she knows the code, she wrote the bloody thing. But I didn't hear her say, you need to know it as well as I do. You need to know it if you want to build something. You need to engage with it in a detailed way, not a cursory way.
Yeah.
And I guess what I was hoping is very few people are gonna have time to read it front to back in a detailed way. But what I was hoping was to let somebody, have somebody engage with a section where they've done projects before that require that section and give us some specific feedback that way from a knowledgeable point of view. And we did get some feedback that we have now brought to, Leslie, and she's watched the recording of that workshop. We talked through every area where there was some real concern. I think the complexity question is gonna remain our friend as we move forward. Because what we've got now is a code that's a little bit of a mess. The people who know it best admit that there's areas where it's things are missing, it's unclear, it's repetitive, it's hard to use. So we are doing our best to make, to address with a new code, to address the vision in the plan. And we're taking each set of concerns as they arise. I mean, the next process, at some point in March, probably by the end of March, we will have the next draft. And I think at that point, we're gonna be talking about a public process at some point. Exactly when, how the planning board process is gonna work with an overall public process. That's not gonna be today's topic, but you know, that's part of what I think all of us are looking forward to, because that's the time when I think we want all of us involved in beating the bushes, inviting people to come out, make sure that everybody has at least been told that this is going on. Now is the time. Come on and look.
If you guys don't mind, I was just gonna spend
Yeah.
2 minutes talking
Do
about
it.
that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, Rick. I think that's an important thing to pick up on and a concern to have, because we can wish people to look at the code any way we want, but if they don't actually functionally do it, that's an issue. I think that we shouldn't freak out though, because the attorney's comments are going to change, I think, a good amount in the center zones. So my thought is, I'm storing it in here. I'm keeping it in mind. I'm gonna wait till the next draft. This is just me personally, to see how that feels. I know the code better now though, so I think it's harder for me to be the person that's like, I don't know what's going on here, because I have spent so long in it at this point now. I do feel like I understand it decently well. So I think that's an important thing, is, you know, we'll probably need to come back to this discussion with that next draft, because the question will probably, I'm guessing it'll still be there, but it just might look different in how we need to approach it. And I think one of the things that's important to understand is that Leslie is not based in Maine. She's based in a much denser area of the country, and she had told me that one of the things that she was hoping that this, well, maybe she told me, or maybe she told all of us, I can't remember, I don't think there's any issue saying this. One of the things she had said was she's hoping that they'll get design engineers involved in the process earlier. And our code doesn't necessarily require that right now. We just require engineering stamps, so. And I think zoning codes, I don't know how often people are thinking about being creative with them. Sometimes the zoning code
Yeah.
feels like this is what you're doing, and
Yeah.
you're doing it this way. So I think there is a bit of a mental shift that might need to occur. The planning department will need to be part of that. We'll need to see how bad it is with the next code, but I just wanted to share that. I think that there's a couple different aspects to this, and it's hard to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of trailing off, but those
All
are my thoughts.
helpful,
Yeah.
yeah, all helpful comments. Thank you, Sky.
I'd like to add a comment. There was a discussion towards the end about underground parking,
Yes,
which I thought, I was glad to have that brought up. What wasn't discussed was, to me, was the obvious benefit of underground parking. And that is to have more open space. If you're decreasing the number of parking spaces, perhaps you're opening up more open space that can be used as is, or can be used for a small park or whatever. But I think that's an important benefit.
Yeah.
Of underground parking, and that has been brought out in some of the planning board applications
well, good.
by applicants.
Yeah.
And mentioning that with the fewer parking places, having the underground parking has enabled them to open up other space on the outside for other uses.
Right, great, important point.
Yeah, I'll just add, I'm very pro underground and structured parking, so I want to see that.
Not to mention like days like we've been having with all the
Mhm.
snow, would be nice to park.
very nice.
around.
Yeah.
Yes, there's myriad benefits.
Yeah.
Chloride reduction is a big thing, so hopefully that'll be all right. People won't
Yeah.
fuss.
So did we cover all of the major points that we discussed with Leslie? Yeah.
If
Or,
if
yeah.
anyone wants more information and they're watching this recording, that is recorded as well on YouTube.
Right. Okay, so shall we move on to the use table?
Would you guys like me to share my screen to show the use table?
I think so, because that's, will we see the, red line?
I pulled the red
Which,
line.
yeah, that would be great.
Let me just get there. And I'm just navigating there, Andy and Robin. I'll share when I have it on the right page. So you don't have to get ill looking at me scrolling. Could I have used the links? Absolutely. Yes.
I'd like to point out, I think something's missing. At the bottom of the use table where it gives the, where it defines the symbols. Indicated, the full blacked in circle, etc.
That was one of Tom Lister's comments.
I'm sorry.
That was one of Tom Lister's comments,
Oh,
that there was missing symbology on the use table. You're absolutely fine to discuss
okay,
it,
so
but I
that's
did
been
want,
picked up?
that's been picked up,
Okay.
yes. Did want you to be aware of that.
Okay.
Yeah, we are very indebted to Tom Lister for going through with the
Yes.
finest tooth comb one
Yes.
could ever.
I thoroughly
have.
enjoyed
Yeah,
what I heard of his
Yeah, 'cause
detailed analysis.
some of the points were fairly significant, but he caught a lot of little things that I know in reading something, if they're not caught, they can make you doubt what you're looking at. Um,
I don't know why this isn't loading right now.
So Andy and Robin, can you still hear us? Yep, I see a thumbs up. Great. So we're trying to hunt down.
Sorry, my PDF just is not loading right now.
Oh, nasty PDF,
Yeah,
There you go.
well, but it won't load past.
a certain. point.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm now wondering if it just got interrupted on the download. Let's try
Want me,
the.
want me to give her the update on TDI while you're looking for that, Sky?
Great idea, Andy.
Excellent.
All right. So we did, I think if you looked at those minutes, you'd see that in my last update with TDI that we were going to have, I think it was last Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember which, 4th or 5th of February. Wright Pierce was making their presentation to the TDI board of their draft of the infrastructure study, and they did make that presentation. The highlights of that presentation are that, and I think I gave a little bit of a hint. We need improvements on the east side of 295 as well as the west side. The mall, the Topsham Fair Mall seems to have adequate amount of infrastructure, but even the Crooked Quadrant, if someone was to develop that today, there isn't adequate infrastructure to develop that the way even our new code would allow. So there needs to be some major improvements. So there was actually in the presentation, there was like, if you did this little amount of improvements, you could help the east side, part of the east side, and then phase 2 could have been the second part of the east side. Phase 3 was part of the west side along with the east side. And then at the end was the total cost to make improvements to both the east and west side of 295, so we could have adequate development in the future. That total cost is about $36 million. I think I gave you a hint that it was gonna be a huge, and actually the word I used is huge. Actually, it wasn't as huge as I thought it might be, but
Okay.
still 36 million is a lot. Mark Walsh was at the meeting, so he's aware, and so what we've just, well, let me back up a little bit. The smallest improvement could be as little as $3 million, and that would be to make some of the improvements on the east side. 6 million would probably get you most of the improvements on the east side, and then to have just part of the west side. I think there was a $18 million option in there, but 36 would be the full cost, and that would include 2 brand new water towers, one over by Highland Greens and one on the top of the hill on the west side of 295. And if people remember, there was a water tower that was torn down a few years ago on the east side. And so we really are a little weak on water there. So how do we make these improvements? It's going to be a combination of public-private money. And we're gonna start looking at those options. Where will that money come from? TDI may even hire a consultant to look into grants and options like that, but we haven't made that decision yet. So what I did with I can't remember how many pages the draft report is. it's under 100. But there's also a PowerPoint presentation. So I've given the TDI board 2 weeks to review the draft and get comments back to the committee. And just when they get those back, if there's any tweaks we got to make to it, we'll make it. And then I think we need to release it to certain committees and also at the same time make a presentation to the select board. I mean, it's public knowledge now, so technically if somebody wants it, they can get it. I would just ask everybody to hold off for a couple weeks, and it would be nice if we could make the presentation to the select board and then roll it out to the general public. So, questions?
Do you have a rough sense, Andy, when that presentation to the select board might happen, like end of March kind of time or before that?
No, it wouldn't be before that.
Mhm.
I'm guessing this is February. I'm guessing in April, the 1st of April, but it could, I suppose it could be at the end of March, but it depends. Mark's looking at the schedule and we're
Yeah.
really waiting for comment back from the committee.
Okay,
Stay tuned.
any comments or questions for Andy?
That's great.
Yeah,
Great.
it's so important to know that stuff and to
Yeah.
be able to think ahead.
Well, Kurt Neufeld was very excited because he's heard talk of this for 20 years because the last report was done 20 years and nothing was done. So he's excited that we're at least going to make an attempt to move forward in some capacity. We just don't know where all the money's going to come, but there are federal funds that are available. So we just need to find those and the avenues that those are available through.
Okay, we'll stay tuned, hope for the best.
Yep.
And
Fingers
yeah.
crossed.
thank you. Okay, so we have now the use table up. I don't know if you can make that maybe a little bigger,
Let's see.
but
I'm not sure. Ah, okay, let's.
Oh, woo.
Oh, boy, this thing was kind of fighting me. Okay, we're gonna not use.
Sensitive, isn't it?
very,
I'm just pulling this down smaller. Maybe I can make it full screen here. Sorry, everyone.
it is helpful to have the red.
Yeah. I'm not even sure I have a clean one anyway. Okay, well, we can look at half of it at a time if that's okay.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
But it's
I
all right,
will
whatever.
Continue to try to make it.
Well,
better.
half of the time is fine.
yeah,
Much
no,
better,
that's
thank you.
fine. Yeah, that's good.
All right, everyone can see it?
Yeah,
Yes.
so just let's to understand the red line stuff. Those are changes from what currently exists.
No.
No, okay,
Those are changes from the draft before this one.
okay.
We don't have a red line from what currently exists. I can pull up the current use table if you guys would like to see it.
I mean, yeah, no, I think that would be I don't want to use the word,
No, it's okay. I'm not suggesting you
Yeah.
do. I can do it if you want.
yeah, I'm just concerned that, where uses are changing. That's where I think we're gonna be needing to have the ability to either think it through, or to respond, I'm assuming. And I shouldn't assume anything.
Yeah.
So all the center zones,
They're right here.
yeah, all to the left. I mean, just to be very general, is there anything that you've seen on this that is of concern to you?
No, I saw this before it went in, so some of these red lines are actually a result of me.
Okay,
So, this was Julie and I looked at this last spring. Parks and open space were really restricted and we were like, that doesn't make any sense and allowed them everywhere. There are maybe some things outside of the center zones that are concerns and or issues, but you guys are only here to discuss center zones. So the above. Go
Can
ahead,
you give
Andy.
can you give us a description? It looks like there's two different symbols and what do they mean?
Yes. Yep, yeah, I was actually just gonna do that because I realized this was confusing. So this one's probably the most confusing one. The like little half. That means that it is only allowed on an upper story. So that's in the center zones to kind of allow for, you know, a not village building,
Sure.
traditional storefront.
Yeah.
With like one apartment or two apartments above it. Or something like that. I don't actually know how that would work with accessory versus primary, but I'm not worrying about that.
Basically, it's allowing for dwelling units on the upper floors.
Yeah.
and Keeping the lower floors open for commercial.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we get more and more into the accessory versus primary use, I'm looking at this and going, potentially that's. Moot, but I think that there's no issue with having it in there because we're totally fine with them on upper stories and.
Right,
If there's some reason that this helps out, I don't see an issue with it.
and in a 3 or 4 unit building or
Mhm.
5+ unit building, obviously. Household living, it's allowed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I
In the
think
lower village.
one of the other changes that happened was, there was a decision to allow, 5+ unit buildings in Middle Village.
Right.
That happened last spring, so
Yeah.
that's an alteration that occurred.
Okay, question, Sky.
Yep.
If I may.
Mhm.
So I understand how, 1 unit per building, yeah, so that's a little confusing, but I'm just concerned that I want to make sure that in the back part of the Crooked Quadrant, that they could put housing and not have to have retail on the first floor in certain areas under the master plan. So it does look like, if I'm reading this correctly, that, 5 units plus, we can do right to the first floor.
Oh, yeah, even you could do the row houses. Really easily back there, Andy, that would be allowed, I think that's allowed in the master plan district, and that would fit. With either the 2 to 4 or.
Not
the-
saying that's gonna happen, I'm just making sure I understand as they ask me questions.
No, I understand, yeah, so I think that the thing that they couldn't do back there. Is they couldn't do single family homes,
Right.
but they
Good
can
one.
do. They can do row houses as
Yeah.
low as 3 units.
Perfect, thank you.
And the use table. In all of the other zones, other than the Topsham Center zone, that's gonna be discussed by the planning.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry
Yeah,
about that one.
yeah, exactly.
It's a little wonky, Tom and I had multiple notes on it, so.
So looking at the civic and institutional. Uses. Let me just see, community assembly. Allowed, hospital not allowed, and with the hospital. In the mixed transitional, so Topsham Fairmont 2
Yeah,
and the other area.
it's
What's
conditional.
conditional? Okay.
Yeah, probably because I think the mixed transitional along Park Ave was kind of categorized that way,
Mhm.
that a small medical hospital,
Facility,
yeah.
yeah.
Could go there.
And I'm not sure what. Qualifies for a hospital, like small urgent care.
No, it has to do with people, okay, so the description, the hospital use category includes state licensed public, private. And nonprofit facilities providing inpatient medical, surgical, mental health, or emergency medical services.
Hmm.
So it's
So that's-
inpatients versus
yeah,
outpatient.
Yeah, so it's very unlikely that that would ever come up, but. It's allowed on a conditional basis.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think if someone really did want to put it there, it wouldn't be a sore thumb personally.
So any,
Question,
as, yeah,
Hmm.
go ahead.
are my eyes blurry, or it looks like you get the dash line where it's not allowed? Take hospital, for example, the first 2
Yeah.
columns, there seems to be 1 dash, and then there seems to be 2, is there a difference?
It's a red line version.
Okay,
I don't actually know exactly why it looks that way because it doesn't appear that something changed. Sometimes the
Same
red
way
line.
in the small
Static.
wind energy conversion system, you see that dot line going across there, okay, all right. It was a red line.
I think it may have been conditional or something previously and got changed.
Oh, yeah, okay, maybe.
So. Schools, utilities, services, minor, major, those are all.
My only question on the inpatient hospital is it's not permitted in the master plan.
It doesn't appear to be.
Yeah, I kind of wondered the same thing, Rick. And I wasn't sure. I'm trying to rack my brain. Would there be a scenario where that might go in? And there may be. I don't know.
Hmm,
It might be something I suggest is conditional.
Okay.
In the master plan.
Right.
yeah,
So I'm gonna just take a moment to, Susan and I and Rick had talked about wanting to discuss this today. What I figured would come out of today would be recommendations that you would then share for the planning board when they looked at the use table.
mhm,
So I will just make notes about this and then put together everything you guys are interested in. Versus I won't be passing these on to the consultants
Right,
yet.
right.
Okay,
Right.
great, just wanted to make sure you're on the same page.
yeah.
Good.
Great. So are we kind of all in agreement that that may be a good thing to allow on a conditional use basis in the master plan? In the Crooker quadrant?
Well, I wouldn't use Crooker. I would use any master plan. I don't know that I'd limit it to Crooker, but
That's the master plan district, Andy, that's its name.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's the only area in the center zones, you know, that's gonna be a master plan. So. The solar stuff,
so they're all allowed as accessory uses,
Yeah.
which is what I think is important to remember.
yeah,
If you wanted to change any of those, it would mean that someone could take a lot in any of the center zones and put only a solar array on it. Without any other uses, which I don't think is currently allowed right now. Accessory solar use is allowed everywhere.
okay,
So if you have
Good.
like, you know, if Hannaford wants to put solar panels all over their parking lot
Right.
and their building, they can do that because they're still chiefly a grocery store
right,
or retail.
okay.
I'm scrolling down, sorry.
Knowing that the planning board is gonna have a very careful look at this. Don't need to catch everything, but.
I think now's the time for the discussion like you had with the hospital where.
Yeah. Maybe consider
Yes.
this, yeah. So we have adult entertainment as a conditional use option, no, in the
Oh, is
master
it
plan.
conditional in the master plan?
It's an O,
Does it have a strike through
it
it?
does,
I think it's, you've got the red line without the red. It is now not allowed.
Not allowed. okay,
At least that's what it is right now. If you guys want to change that, that's
Okay.
a discussion to have. We are
I think
legally.
that was actually outside of the 6 units. And when you go to the top, that's the 7th column.
no, it's
No,
master
that's master
plan,
plan.
Oh, okay. There's 7 columns then? Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
Animal care indoor. Outdoor not allowed. Child care centers allowed anywhere. I'm curious with childcare centers, like how large that means. Is a childcare center, it's not
Look at the
home
definition.
daycare, yeah,
No, because that would be a home occupation,
right,
which would be allowed everywhere. I also, sorry, I just want to pause really quickly and
Yeah.
ask you guys a question.
sure.
So you had talked about allowing hospital in the master plan district conditionally. Do you want to give it the use allowed only within a master plan development? If you'll see at the bottom of the screen, that is a use that currently applies to consumer service in one of the zones. In mixed transitional, you can only have a consumer service as part of a master plan development.
Huh. Interesting. And so what, yeah, without looking at the definition, what is the consumer service gonna be?
Oh, I actually wasn't asking about the consumer
Yeah.
service. I mean, if you guys want to discuss that, you can, but it's about the hospital.
Yeah. So it would be the same.
I think the mixed, so the reason it's in the mixed transitional now is because of the basically the medical buildings that are,
No, I'm so sorry. I think I've confused you guys.
okay.
Do you see under consumer service, the little red dot?
Yep.
That's a half moon,
Yeah.
basically. That is just a symbol that means allowed only within a master plan development. I'm not bringing up consumer service. If you guys want to
Good.
talk about it, we can, but
Yeah.
I don't have any feelings about it.
Yeah.
My thought was that you had made the choice that you wanted to allow hospital as conditional in the master plan district.
Yeah,
Would you like to use the conditional symbology, or would you like to use the allowed only within a master plan development symbology?
oh. I think, but aren't they gonna be in the sense and the same, because it's only in the master plan?
I think
No,
if someone broke up a small enough, if they did a
It
traditional
wouldn't be,
subdivision and it wasn't a master plan,
Right,
they could put a hospital in.
okay. I'm thinking the district. I'm not thinking, so if it's not a master plan and it fits in that plan. it's
You're
still
fine,
conditional. I
You're
think that's
fine if a
okay.
hospital is in there without a master plan development
Yeah.
plan. Okay,
Yeah.
great. I just wanted to ask because I had forgotten that symbology existed.
Yeah, I am glad to know that it exists, but it's a little mind-boggling. Anybody have any concerns about that? Any differences of opinion? Okay, I think we're okay to move on there.
Sorry about that.
No, it's good. Um. Entertainment venue, large indoor, okay, not in the lower and middle village, but it's allowed in the upper village and the village, and the okay, yeah, commercial mixed use and the mixed transitional. And it's not allowed, oh, it's not in the mixed residential,
Yeah, which is the base.
the base, that makes good sense. Yeah, that sounds good. And outdoor. Entertainment outdoor.
Hmm.
Do we have any such things at the moment?
Look at that definition. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah.
Large outdoor.
Well,
Outdoor entertainment venue uses are participant or spectator oriented activities for commercial recreation or entertainment conducted outside of enclosed buildings. That is really not helpful.
so the Topsham Fairgrounds is such an
Probably.
area,
Potentially.
yeah. But, okay, so in terms of where that's allowed. It's allowed in the lower village, that's an odd thing. Outdoor entertainment, well. But not in the middle village, good. And not in the mixed residential, good. Okay, any concerns there? And lodging. So
Good right past funeral and
I
mortuary.
did.
Susan.
I did. I don't even know what to say about that. Do we have any such establishments
I
in,
feel like we looked it up and we don't actually.
yeah,
Yeah.
quite a few in Brunswick, but not over here.
I'm just curious why that would not be allowed in the middle.
I would agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, they usually look like homes,
Yeah. Big.
but
homes.
they require parking, a lot of parking.
Right,
And in the middle village, there is not really a lot of street parking available.
right,
So they need to have large surface parking lot areas.
Yeah.
I live near one in Bath, and when they have a funeral, it can be a little hazardous to get down the street sometimes, so potentially that would be the reason.
No, I think it's worth just a note for planning for discussion on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that could be the reason. I don't think it's necessarily such a slam dunk of a reason you shouldn't discuss it.
okay. Good. So. Lodging, except bed and breakfast and short-term rentals. Allowed everywhere except in the mixed residential. makes sense to me. And bed and breakfast and short-term rentals are allowed everywhere. That's. I don't know if that's gonna be something that we ultimately try to regulate, but we're not now.
Bed and breakfast, we do. I think those have really specific requirements on them, actually, I think. I don't know about short-term rental, but I don't know. Say too much about that necessarily.
It can really affect a neighborhood.
Yeah, I guess the only one, if you're asking my opinion on it. The only one I can see that potentially not being a good idea in is the mixed residential.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like their intention with that area
Is
is
to
to make
create
a
housing.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it's near the schools. I don't really know if there'd be a lot of demand up there, but. Usually that's the thing that bites you in the butt in 15 years.
Yeah, I'm wondering if we should raise that as a question. Anybody agree? In the mixed residential area
Yeah, I think that's,
to not allow that? See a nod from Andy? Any thoughts?
has the trend been growing for bed and breakfast? And so,
Well, it's in, but, what's the other term?
Airbnb,
Thank you.
Airbnb.
Yeah, Airbnbs. I think there are more than we think there are in Topsham. Not necessarily in the center zones. But
Susan?
yeah,
Yeah, I've got to run.
Okay.
Looks like a good meeting. Thank you, everybody. Sorry, I gotta leave early.
gotcha. Glad you've been here so as long as you have. Bye, Andy.
Thank you, Eddie.
I will note that the B&B and short-term rental, if you get rid of that, that does not stop it as an accessory use. We did receive some comments about that. And Tom answered that. It would mean that like to qualify as that use, you need to have an entire house
Yeah.
basically as that. So
Yeah.
it doesn't stop someone from renting out a room.
That's right.
I don't,
right.
there's something else in the code that stops ADUs potentially. If that wasn't in there, I wouldn't stop an ADU being a short-term rental.
Yeah.
It's just the primary use.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only area, the mixed residential zone. That's my thinking, is that we ought to at least raise that as a question, a recommendation for the planning board to consider. Not allowing it in the mixed
Not allowing it
residential.
or converting it to conditional. Either way.
Yeah. I think if we're gonna
It
say,
would pretty much be a slam dunk as a conditional, because conditional, though I will say conditional use is not finished.
Yep.
But it would be because it's, well, I guess the
Well,
constantly,
leave it for discussion.
yeah,
Before you
leaving
put
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let the conversation take
Yeah.
care of it.
yeah,
I'll note that though, that if they figure it out and they want to discuss that, maybe that's something to consider.
okay, that's great. Thank you. All right, so let's just look through the office thing,
Mhm.
because that has been
Mm.
a sticking point. So what does this, so in the middle village, it's conditional?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. As a primary use for the
Mhm.
building.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so, and if there was an office on the ground floor and residential above, is that? No,
Sorry, let me look through that. I can't quite remember what Tom said about how the accessory versus primary is determined. I'm gonna make a note to myself, that, um. I mean, it's conditional, so it would be fine, either one. Are you
I'm just thinking that,
Yeah, please tell me what you're thinking.
yeah, that it should be permitted. But not as an entire building. Because the Middle Village is a very residential area, but we want to allow mixed use. Where it makes sense to have mixed use.
All right, so I'm making a note to ask Tom about how accessory versus primary just determined when it's arguably 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah. And depending on that, I'll email you guys an update on that.
Okay.
Because the answer is it might be fine to stay as is, it would be conditional. Which would allow just an office building. Or whatever it's, defined as.
Yeah.
But you'd be conditional use, but if you wanna not go through conditional use, you would have it be, at least 50% residential potentially.
Yeah.
Um,
And in the mixed transitional, it's conditional.
Mixed transitional, mixed residential.
But
And
it doesn't
why-
make sense to be even conditional in the mixed residential, I don't think. I don't know.
Well, I
but
could
it-
see it in the mixed residential,
Yeah,
why would it need to be conditional in a mixed transitional?
Yeah.
That's mixed transitional, that's the area.
Let me just write this down. So in Middle Village, allowed with residential, so I'm
Yes.
checking on that question.
yeah,
Mixed transitional. Are you all in agreement that you don't think it should be conditional in that one, or you wanna discuss
Just
that?
remind us of where the limits of the mixed
Mixed
traditional
transitional
are.
is Park Drive, and it's for Union. Or not for Union, sorry, Union.
Park.
I say for
Yeah.
Union so much.
yeah, Union Park,
Union Park has been
Drive,
done
yeah.
to both of that,
Union
so
Park and Park
there
Drive.
might be offices. There is offices on Union,
And there are in Park Drive as well.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would probably agree with you, Rick, on that one.
so that makes sense to have it be allowed.
Okay, and mixed residential, you guys feel good with keeping it the same as Middle Village?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anybody disagree? Okay, we've gotten through the first table, yeah. no problem. We'll just glance around along.
Alright, there we go, and you get to see the types again, the names again.
So we have parking, non-accessory. Conditionally allowed. Lower Village, Upper Village. Commercial mixed use. Mixed transitional and master plan district.
Would you like the definition of that one?
Yes, thank you.
I just looked at it myself because I was curious. The non-accessory parking use category includes parking areas that are not provided exclusively to serve occupants of or visitors to a particular use, but rather is available to the public at large. A parking area that provides both accessory and non-accessory parking is classified as non-accessory parking if it leases 25% or more of its spaces to non-occupants or persons other than visitors for particular use. At first, I had thought to myself, oh gosh, I don't know if that should be allowed, but then I realized that would be like parking garages,
Mhm.
like if the master plan district were to get totally redone in a crazy way or something, I think you would want to have that use allowed.
Yeah.
There.
And we already have that parking non-accessory in Lower Village.
We do.
It exists there.
Yep.
I don't think it exists in the Upper Village, but could,
Yeah. I don't think anyone's
gonna do that.
gonna do it. Yeah, I see what you're getting at. I think you'd wanna leave the option to have it available in the upper village. But with the way the upper village is, its makeup, I think it's probably unlikely just
Yeah.
because of the lack of honestly lots.
And mixed transitional. Yeah, I think it already exists in Topsham Fairmont 2 mixed transitional.
Oh, really? Where?
I mean, isn't that, there's an area outside, the resale shop.
Oh, Goodwill? Um. Gosh, I guess technically that's what that is right now. It hasn't been built out. You're right, yeah. Before, no, but after they split the lots, yes.
Yeah. But it makes sense to allow it conditionally.
It might not apply for that though, because it really just serves Goodwill, and
Mhm.
it's just another lot that serves Goodwill. So
Yeah.
actually, no, I don't think that
It's not
qualifies as that,
accessory.
yeah.
Okay. Neighborhood grocery. So it sounds like neighborhood grocery is not allowed in any of the center zones. That's an odd thing.
I'm surprised at that.
Yeah.
So I think it's, I'd like to check I'm gonna pull up the current use table, because that would be
Okay.
from that.
And we might need to look at the definition as well.
It's a slightly weird one.
And
Grocery. It's on 617. Alright, so it's currently permitted in LB and VC, but it's got a footnote that I'll need to check. It is permitted currently in Topsham Fairmont and in CC. Let me check. Gasoline sales are not allowed as an accessory use. Yeah, so that has been really reduced from what it is currently allowed as. Did you find the definition?
yeah, I mean, it's neighborhood grocery store, a store with less than 3,000 square feet of retail floor area, not including storage, food preparation or service areas, and not exceeding 4,000 square feet of total gross floor area that is primarily intended to serve the convenience of a residential neighborhood or area of the community with such items as, but not limited to, basic foods, prepared foods, newspapers, blah, blah, blah. I would think we would want to allow that.
If you guys are curious what an existing use of that one is, Rusty's on
Yeah.
Middlesex is
One of
classified as
those.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what would beg the question is, where are full-scale grocery stores allowed?
Do they have their own
And is
separate?
there, they don't, as far as I can tell,
Yeah,
but I guess that's one
no, I understand what you're
question,
getting at.
the
Yeah.
overlap or distinction between a full scale greater than 4,000 square, I assume a full scale is anything greater than 4,000 square feet.
I think it
that-
goes under retail and entertainment.
Yep.
Which I don't know where it is. Do you want me to look at the use table for now? Where that is now?
Well, I guess, again, I think it's worthy of I mean, I don't think we need to dive deep into it, but the neighborhood grocery is worthy of
Oh,
discussion.
oh, yes, agreed. Yeah.
And saying, something like where Micho's Market was,
Yeah.
is that,
And we even talked about allowing that in certain areas. I don't know how we came down on that in the mixed residential, that we don't want commercial as a whole, but to have on a corner, on the ground floor, a bodega,
Yeah.
um,
Susan, where'd you live for a long time?
years.
I
Which
think,
zones do you guys think? I'm happy to write this down. I would agree with you. I wanna check in with Tom, because I feel like he's had a discussion with me about this before.
Yeah,
And I will add this into. I recently learned that the planning department didn't really talk with Tom for years, so my approach is novel.
keep it up.
But I don't disagree with
guess-
you guys, and I think we should just list whichever ones you think it should be allowed in.
my feeling would be it should be allowed in Lower Village and then as part of a master plan development site in the master plan district.
Okay.
And I would go to so far, I mean, I'm just curious about the mixed residential, that, I mean, that's a big area
And there's no retail up there at all.
at all, and to have a small, you know, grocery store. I
I'll check
think
with
might be-
Tom if there's
yeah.
something we aren't realizing with this definition
Yeah,
that would allow
would
things
be
that I
great.
think beyond what you guys are thinking.
Okay,
If it is really just that small store, how did the rest of you feel about mixed residential?
what do you think, Robin?
So where is mixed residential? Where is that zone?
The base. It's,
The annex.
the annex,
Oh, yeah, I thought that was gonna be
Allowed.
allowed there.
I thought at least in the cross streets, you know.
I remember it being discussed, like the kids could walk and get a snack after school, like to me.
Right,
And that the idea of a grocery store on the ground floor and residences up on top, was all part of this new visioning of multi-use space.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And you guys don't want it in any of the other zones?
I don't think it makes sense in Middle Village at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't need it in commercial mixed use, because you've got plenty of retail there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about mixed transitional.
No,
You don't think so? No,
I don't think
Yeah.
so. I think, yeah,
I think just going by what I've heard Leslie say in terms of trying to keep things clustered. Yeah,
Perfect.
so I think those are the Lower Village, mixed residential, master plan development.
We're
I
gonna
think
have
it's
the master
unlikely to
plan.
be in the master plan development. I think it's unlikely, but if it makes sense in a certain area.
I have that one noted as being part of a master plan.
Okay.
Okay, great.
All right, self-service storage, not allowed.
Right, moving on.
Vehicle repair and maintenance.
These got really pulled out last spring, I think. Oh, I remember Julie working on this, but I don't remember a whole lot about it.
Well, I remember the conversations that saying, vehicle sales is likely to be a reduced space requirement, but service will
Mhm.
be an increased requirement. Repair and maintenance, commercial, not allowed.
That means like commercial trucks.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
personal and commercial
big
refers
trucks.
to the vehicles, not if you're,
Personally.
yes.
Okay,
the only thing I would question is the carte blanche allowance in the mixed transitional.
Where
Or did that, oh, no, it's right,
But that's
it's
the
already got,
personal.
it's
yeah.
commercial mixed use, so it's Topsham Fair Mall 1.
no, the one right next to it.
Oh, this one.
mixed
Vehicle.
transitional.
Mixed transitional.
Want to make that conditional?
I guess I would, or I'd almost be tempted to say, why is it more, you want to permit
Is
it
there one in
there?
existence? That's oftentimes
Ah,
can influence these things.
so,
In the annex?
No,
No.
mixed
No,
transitional.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes,
That's
I'm sorry,
Topsham
taking
Fair.
taking what I said.
there must be already. But I'm not sure.
Oh, sorry, I
Yeah.
don't know. I can't remember. Sorry, that was sort of a question back to you guys. I can't remember.
Yeah.
I could see there being one on Park Drive tucked in there would be my comment towards that.
Mhm.
I think, yeah, I mean, they're. Town Fair, Tire Warehouse are pretty close to it already, and I think those are the ones that,
yeah. Yeah,
sorry, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to disrail us.
Oh,
no,
that's
no, do you
okay.
guys wanna talk about that anymore? Or vehicles in general?
No,
Sales and rental, so, yeah, to allow sales and rental only in, the commercial mixed use, that's great, I think that's good.
So we tire and service. That's here in, is that here in the upper village?
Yes,
So that would be an example of vehicle repair and maintenance, personal.
yes.
As
Yeah,
well
as
as
well as
sales and
commercial.
rental.
actually,
Do
it
they
also be vehicle
sell-
repair.
They sell things there?
Lee,
Oh, I didn't know that.
don't,
Oh, you're thinking.
That's a different Lee, that's not, Lee's Tire only does repairs, they don't sell.
That's what I thought.
good to
Yeah,
know.
they don't
Okay.
sell, they don't
Oh,
sell vehicles.
No,
Yeah, no, I think that
There's a few Lees.
yes, yes, I was thinking of
Right.
the one over there by Copper Kettle.
Yes,
Okay.
that's,
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
that's
that
one.
would be,
Yeah.
yes, that is an
Okay.
example of that
Yeah.
one.
Right, so they would effectively be non-conforming for the commercial piece.
Do they do commercial?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, yes, probably. But they'd be
It's fine,
non-conforming and
it's fine.
grandfathered, I don't know if that's
Yeah.
when you guys
Yeah,
wanna,
no, I don't.
Yeah.
You don't wanna open it up.
well, it hasn't been a problem, has it? I mean, I don't know why we wouldn't allow it if. I don't know.
I think the question about that, Robin, and I'm not taking a stance on this, is just, it's not so much as this one particular use, okay? But would I be okay if the two lots next to it became that use?
Sure. I hear you. Yeah, I just thought I'd raise the
No, I
question.
totally hear, and I'm not taking a stance. If you guys wanna discuss that, I think that's totally fine. I think that sometimes, am I okay with three next to each other of this one thing? Yeah.
So which one are we actually, because we haven't made any recommendations to change any of it at the
Mhm.
moment.
True.
But so we're looking at whether or not we should allow even conditionally the commercial
Mhm.
repair and maintenance in,
Actually, in any of the areas where personal is
Mhm.
identified,
right,
should a comparable or should there be any allowance for commercial in any of those areas that personal is? Should all commercial vehicle maintenance be outside of the
yeah,
town area?
So I'll just give the definition to you guys really quickly.
yeah,
Establishments that repair, install, or maintain components of large trucks, construction equipment, agricultural equipment, or similar large vehicles and vehicular equipment. Includes truck stops and truck fueling facilities providing general maintenance, repair, rebuilding, or reconditioning of engines, vehicles, and trailers. Does not include vehicle body and paint shop.
Yeah, that's goes well beyond what Lee's Tire does.
Yeah, they don't hardly have room for the personal cars, never mind big trucks.
And this is what personal vehicle repair and maintenance definition is. Establishments that repair, install, or maintain components of passenger vehicles, including recreational vehicles and boats. Expressly includes establishments that repair or replace windows and windshields, or that wash, clean, or otherwise protect the interior or exterior surfaces of passenger vehicles. Does not include vehicle body and paint shop. So I guess that would give us car washes.
Yeah. yeah. So listening to both definitions, does it sound like it would be a good idea to allow conditionally the commercial repair and maintenance anywhere. Like, for example, in the commercial mixed use or mixed transitional. Or master plan district. I don't know, but. I would not want to have it be allowed, but. I guess I'm reluctant, and I understand that the conditional use is not done, that's gonna
Mhm.
be discussed more. But I think we have to say, if it's allowed conditionally, it's not like it's likely to happen, but are we okay with it coming in?
Mhm. Yes, in some ways, it's best to think of conditional as allowed, because.
Yeah.
It's a low bar to.
Yeah.
to
Yes,
meet.
currently, it's not a huge mountain to climb.
So I'm inclined to leave it as it is.
Yeah.
Having chewed on it very briefly.
Okay.
All right, sales and rental, we've got one spot, fueling station. Now that's something that has come up.
Mm,
I think
Um,
that's why it's in the MPD now.
Okay.
I think Candy would be appreciative of that if
Yeah.
we're still here.
Um. Vehicle body shop, paint shop, nowhere.
Hmm.
Interesting. Okay,
Because of its toxicity?
So I think it
I
is.
so,
I know that Julie and Leslie worked on all of those last
Pretty
spring,
carefully,
so yeah.
yeah.
I don't have a lot of feelings about them.
Okay. So are we ready to move on to manufacturing and industry?
Yeah. Mhm.
All right, so. Manufacturing artisan, we've talked about this quite a lot, there's allowed lower village, upper village. Commercial mixed use, mixed transitional. Not in mixed residential, that's right, yeah, that makes sense. And manufacturing generally. Only in the master plan district, that makes good sense. And no allowance for high impact industry in any of those areas.
Yes, high impact industry might change a little bit, we'll see about that. The only question I just have for you guys, and I don't know if you've already had this discussion, so shut me down if you have. Manufacturing generally, you wanna allow that in, the master plan district? Just. Or do you wanna do that as the only part of the master plan?
Oh. I think as a part of the master plan. That's my sense. Not just that it can go in the district, but it has to be part of a master plan. Does that make sense to you?
That echoes what I feel like was happening at the Downs when they talked about how they had their industrial area, but it was. It was part of
Yeah.
them doing other things, whereas if they had just come in as industrial, I think that's different personally.
Right. So concrete product manufacturing.
I don't think it's currently happening in any zones.
No, it's outside.
Yeah.
Zones, yeah. And waste related use not allowed. Wholesale warehousing and distribution.
When you say not, remember LI is part of what we're talking about too, though. is
Light
the-
Oh,
industrial,
No, it's not a center
That's
zone.
not,
no, it's outside the center zones.
The annex is like a weird
Shape.
island. Yeah, LI is not part of the center zones.
Okay.
It is allowed in LI. But if they're part of the center zones, they'd have to look really cute, and have their little peaked roofs.
So wholesale warehousing and distribution. Allowed in the master plan district, should be part of the master plan, I would think.
I would agree with you on that one.
Any thoughts on that? I mean. Sky has educated us about that distinction. If it's, whether it's allowed in the master plan or area district, or whether it also has to be part of a master plan. development, so I'm suggesting it has to be, should be part of the master plan. And no extractive industry, all right. And then we get into some other areas. Are we ready to move on to our last category? Addiction treatment, not allowed anywhere. Agriculture, not allowed anywhere. Animal husbandry. A drive-in or drive-through facility allowed in commercial mixed use and allowed in master plan district. I think that's as much as we wanted.
Any changes to that one or good as is?
What do you think, folks?
Good as is.
Good, good. So we've nixed the idea of marijuana cultivation, marijuana product manufacturing, marijuana testing facility, registered caregiver store. I don't know what that means.
Be making highbrow non-conforming, just so you're aware. That is.
Is that a testing facility?
No,
Or-
I'm checking it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Product,
Registered caregiver store, a facility operated by a single medical marijuana registered caregiver and licensed to sell harvested marijuana to qualifying patients for the patient's medical use and may include an area for consultation with patients. A registered caregiver store is not authorized as an accessory use. We have 2 of those in town. Oh God, I can't remember what zone the other one's in, but one of them is in
Topsham Fairmont.
Topsham
Yeah,
Fairmont.
so commercial mixed use. So it. I mean, it's. Hmm. Hmm.
Wonder why we're not allowing it when it's already existing.
Exactly.
We're just gonna.
Well,
the current.
Right.
Because if you use that logic for all categories, then.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay to
I will note, you can. only-
grandfather non-conforming to certain areas.
You can only have 2 in Topsham, we limit that, so allowing it doesn't mean they're going to be everywhere. But I just wanted that to be clear to you guys.
And where's that decision? Is that in the code that we only allow 2? I think that's,
It's somewhere in some
Somewhere
code,
else.
yeah, probably in the marijuana chapter.
okay,
It's currently permitted in the commercial corridor, the RCU, the MUC. Yeah, this is a change. This could be a mistake, I will say. We've had a couple of those. This one could be that
Yeah.
unless you guys have discussed this and this is something you're
it
wanting
makes,
to go.
it makes sense to me that it be allowed in the commercial mixed use.
Yeah, same with me. I agree.
Anyone else? Want to weigh in on that?
You talking about the sale of marijuana?
Medical marijuana. Yeah, so we're looking at that, the category that's called registered caregiver store.
And I will note, to allow more than 2 in Topsham, it would have to go to town meeting for vote.
Right.
I guess my only thing is, yeah, if you say allowed in the commercial mixed use. Why would it not be allowed in the master plan development as part of a master plan?
Do you guys wanna add it? Unless one of them shuts down, it won't happen.
I think it's fine to add it, given the limitations that we have currently, which could change, we know, but
Yeah, so add 2,
Yeah,
allowed.
You want it permitted in master plan?
yeah, if you're gonna add it in, yeah,
Yep,
if it's,
okay,
if
great,
it's
and
added.
just regular permitted, nothing, no conditional, no master plan.
Just allowed.
Great,
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, that's my sense. Okay. On to transmission tower. I don't know what to say about that. It's in the master plan district, it's allowed conditionally. Should we look at a definition?
Definition, a structure that is intended for transmitting or receiving television, radio, or telephone communications. There are like height limitations and requirements on this. Who can comment on that definition? It is really not listed there. It's not allowed. See an issue with that one particularly, I don't know, I guess I don't have a whole lot of feelings, I think sometimes those need to be places and it's next to 295, so yeah, it's probably not the worst place, but I don't really have a strong feeling on that one.
So,
So there's a
conditionally
typo over here,
allowed,
that's
yeah.
what I was,
yep, conditionally
Freaking out about.
allowed in the master plan district. It's conditional, leave it, yeah. All right, water dependent use, I gotta have a definition there, I'm looking at my definitions. So it's allowed in Lower Village, because we got water there, but,
it's
what is up?
marinas, piers and boathouses.
Okay,
Quite honestly, after having a partner that worked in the Harpswell, I'm not sure you could even build a new one of those
right,
anyway, but it's there. I don't think there's any reason to take that
to
out.
take
If
it
we-
out, okay.
You know, if someone ever wants to put in like a boat launch or something like that, I think it would fall under that.
That they could do that in the Lower Village.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think if the
yeah.
right property came up, there would be no.
Yeah.
Personally,
I think we're done.
great. I'm gonna give you guys a tiny update and then I'm gonna be
Okay,
done
yep,
because
yep,
I
you
have
gotta go
somewhere to
down.
be.
Yep.
I sent Tom and I's edits to Kirk and Leslie today.
Yeah.
And directed them to start working on the next draft.
Great,
Okay, good, there's. Okay.
that's great.
Of course, I found a typo in here after having done that, but,
That's, yeah.
we'll
Sure
catch it.
that
I
can
think
be-
Tom might have caught that quite honestly, and if not, we'll catch it next time.
Okay.
But yes, so they should be working on that. I feel like we're looking at the last week of March probably, but I did tell them
Great.
to let me know.
Yep. How it goes.
Yes, so that's where we're at.
That's exciting. It's been sent.
It has.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, thanks, everyone. Yeah, recording stopped. I got it. Bye.